So you wait 4 weeks, nothing. And all of a sudden, 2 videos come along, one after the other. How lucky are you? Listen, I like to think of myself as being level-headed and trying to put across a sensible review, a sensible point of view over the matches that Spurs play. It's not always easy, but this is why I wait for another day to give myself the opportunity to let it all sink in and kind of whirl around my head and kind of have a think about what I really feel and how I feel about the result and so on. So first things first, being Mr. Sensible, I'd like to kind of say, well, I think you have to give some credit to West Ham. I know it's painful. No one wants to be giving out any kind of credit. I get that. But for me, I felt that they got their balance right. So there were periods of the game where they were very, very frustrating, obviously. But then at the same time as that, there was also points of that game where I thought they were a bit frightening because I was concerned that they were going to get that runaway goal, right at the end. And, there were a couple of opportunities in there. So you think, overall, a ground we haven't won in 5 years, I believe, to come away with a point from there, is it the worst result in the world? Probably not. Is it what we needed? Definitely not. Is it what we wanted? Absolutely not. But we are where we are, right? But you do have to give a little bit of credit to West Ham. I thought they played their game really, really well. They defended in numbers. Certainly in the second half, they defended in numbers really, really well. They picked themselves up and really got ahead of us and got onto us. They dropped into a low block. They made it really, really difficult. That's not to say that we wouldn't be able to do something about that, but ultimately they were difficult to break down. They're a strong, physical, big side, and they knew how we played and they knew what to do to get the best out of the situation. I don't suspect that the West Ham fans will be happy with a point either. I'm sure that they would have liked to have come away with a win, but knowing that they've come off the back of a really bad result, from being sort of 3-1 up to losing 4-3, what they needed to do was stabilise. So from their point of view, I'm sure they'll be contented maybe a little bit with it. I don't know. But as I said in my pre-match prediction with Dave, the Irish Hotspur, this wasn't just West Ham's cup final, it was our cup final as well. We really needed the win because we're now going very quickly into a really difficult period in the season. So 3 points there would have been really, really helpful with Aston Villa going on to play Man City. You think to yourself, well, that's a good opportunity to get into the driving seat, but it's not to be. Anyway, listen, overall performance, I thought the first sort of, probably after it settled down, sort of 10, 15, 20 minutes of that first half, I thought we played some really good football. The play that led to the goal was brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Exactly what we want. Quick, one touch, fast movement, moving it from player to player to player, out wide, across the box. Runner comes in, tucks it away, and I thought Brennan Johnson did brilliantly there to kind of step in and unnoticed and take that, and Werner for playing a perfect ball in. But for me, that was it for the whole match. That was our best passage of play. From that, it kind of got a little bit stale. West Ham obviously dropped a little bit deeper and got their defensive duties sorted out. And of course, then comes the equaliser, and I felt like that was always going to happen at something like that because clearly we haven't learned that Vicario is going to be put under pressure. They are going to, surround him and restrict his movement and so on. And I did see Maddison in there trying to move players away and stuff like that, but it's just not enough. I think Vicario has got to work on that. He's got to be stronger. He's got to command that area and take the player, take the ball, and really command it. Bit fortunate for the goal comes off of the cat kicker's back, which is a bit disappointing, but yeah, you could kind of see it coming, and I'm grateful that they only managed to get one from those situations. I felt that Bissouma looked a little bit better yesterday than the weekend. He seemed to get more involved in the game, seemed a little bit higher up the pitch. And Maddison, pulling some good passing and so on to spread the play and to try to dictate things. And again, I thought Bentancur was pretty good. It was bright to see him in there playing really well. I thought he picked out some really good passes and stuff like that, and sort of pushed us on a little bit. I'd like to see him and Sarr together as opposed to him and Bissouma together, just to see how that kind of works. But yeah, I think there was a couple of bright spots. I thought, again, for me, Brennan Johnson really did well. I thought he showed what he can do. He bursting down the right hand side using his pace, put a fair few crosses in, tried to get it into the box early. But unfortunately, Son felt like Son was off it. Not an out and out striker. He really needs. He's at his best when he's either cutting in or running onto. He's not that kind of poacher striker who can kind of pull one out of the box on that regular basis. So I didn't think we're playing to his strengths there. Also for me, I guess, and this might be a little bit unpopular, but I am yet to see the best of Timo Werner. And I know Ange says that he's a really good addition and he's doing a lot for the team. But like in my mind, I'm thinking he's supposed to be really pacey. I'm yet to see him really take anybody on. For me, he seems to stop and cut back an awful lot. Now, bearing in mind he's left-sided, left-footed, you would have thought that he'd push it past someone and just get onto it, and whip the cross in. Now, he's got some assists, a couple of goals, I think. So it's not all lost. And probably for the money that they're going to pay for him, it probably makes sense to actually, buy him rather than just going through the loan. But for me, I think he needs to do a little bit more. I think we need some more from him. So yeah, I'm not yet sold. I don't think he had a particularly good game. He didn't have a particularly good game on Saturday either. I didn't think he was that good on Saturday. But for me, I thought he was a little bit off it yesterday, even though he did get the assist. Like I say, I just want to see him be a little bit more direct. Now, I know there's been times where he's been calling for it and it's not going out to him because a lot of stuff did go right as opposed to left. So maybe he's not getting all the opportunities that he that he really deserves or he's looking for. But I guess that's just a balance, and we kind of have to see what everybody's view of that is. But again, really happy to see Van der Ven back. I thought, you could really see the quality of that player. As soon as the ball's kind of played, he's just all over it. His pace is brilliant to see, and he really works that well. And I think that brings a really good balance with with the defence, in the fact that you've got that player to kind of to sweep up behind you, sort of thing. So it allows the others to kind of have that push on. And again, Porro and Udogie were really far forward, at times and linking play. I thought Udogie in particular had a fairly good game, and Porro I didn't think had a particularly bad game. But I guess the overall thing at the end of it all is we are not taking our opportunities. We're not creating enough opportunities. There is too much tippy-tappy around the box. There's not enough people actually taking their opportunities and putting the goalkeeper and the defence under pressure. We need to be really having a go and changing our play. We can't just sit in front of them and pass it around, because a low block team is going to let you do that all day, because you're not going anywhere, and then they can hit you on the counter. I mean, if Antonio had connected towards the end of the game, then that would have been good night Vienna, and we'd have been you know, crying in our cornflakes this morning about it because, you know, the reality is they probably didn't deserve to win it. They probably didn't deserve to lose it, to be fair, but they didn't deserve to win it. So a little bit frustrated with that kind of constant sort of movement, which is great if you're a couple of goals ahead, but if you're sitting at 1-1 or you're 1-0 behind, you know, it's very, very frustrating for the fan watching that and crying out for someone just to crack a 25-yarder and bury it. You know, we know that Maddison has got that in his locker. We know that Son's got it in his locker. We know that Porro can hit one from distance. So, you know, you wanna see that tested. You wanna really see that go on. Didn't think the ref had a particularly good game either. I thought there was bits and pieces of that. He kind of stopped the play for both sides. I'm not saying he was particularly bad for us as opposed to bad for them, but it just kind of sums it up when Van der Ven gets a yellow card for kind of pushing the ball away when it's already out of play. And yet, Paqueta, is it? Runs straight through Maddison and sends him flying and gets nothing but a talking to. I'm like, it's a bit inconsistent. And I'm not saying that he particularly needed a red card or anything, but for me, I thought that was a yellow card all day long. And then there were a few fouls that he didn't give fouls for, again, for both sides. I thought there was a couple that we did that we got away with and a couple that they did that they got away with. So I guess it balances it out overall, but you know, sometimes some of those key things, those key misses make a difference in the result at the end of the day. So, yeah, I mean, overall, you know, am I happy with a point? Yeah, I'll take it because it is what it is. It's what we've got. I'd rather take a point than not get any points, you know. Really wanted the 3. But then, you know, you look across the league and you can see some funny results in. I mean, Newcastle drawing 1-1 with Everton after turning over West Ham 4-3 coming from behind, and then you've got Nottingham Forest beating Fulham. So Fulham beat us 3-0, and then Nottingham Forest beat them 3-1, I think, yesterday. So you're like, I don't get it. And we've got Forest coming up, and you think to yourself, just what we need them to get a really good result and start building momentum just as we're about to play them, which is going to be another desperately needed 3 points from that, depending on what's going on with Aston Villa and how they're getting. Because as I say, and I've said it a few times, we've got a real tough running yet to do. That's not to say that we can't win those games, but at the same time you think to yourself, it's tough. We've got Chelsea to play, we've got Arsenal to play, we've got Liverpool to play, we've got City to play. So, and Newcastle, of course, and all these teams are, either vying for the top spot or they're vying for Champions League or European football or whatever. So it's not going to be easy. Sometimes we raise our game, maybe we'll raise our game and we'll have better games against your Liverpools and your Man Cities than we did have against a Nottingham Forest or a Fulham or whatever. And maybe that's how it's going to go, because on their day, any team can beat any team. So we'll just have to see how that pans out, I guess. So that was on my view. I'm trying to be sensible about it. I don't think all is lost. I didn't think we played desperately bad. I just think our final ball is just not enough. And I get the point that, Moyes is saying, no, everyone knows how Tottenham plays, and a lot of fans have picked up on that, saying, well, that's because Ange only knows one way to play and so on and so forth. I don't think that's true. I think Ange knows plenty of how to play the game and all the rest of it, but what he's trying to do is instill a type of play, a type of way, and you need to convince the players, and you need to get the right players who are able to do this consistently at the right rate, at the right times, and all the rest of it. And, we are talking, as he said, we are talking about humans. These are young guys who need guidance and need to learn. It's not going to happen overnight. So we see where we go from. We see where we go from there, and hopefully, we keep the faith and we keep going. I certainly don't prescribe to the idea that we just dump a manager every season and go with someone else and hope that that's going to change anything. I think you need some longer term sustainable improvement, and I think Ange fits this really, really well. He's not looking for every superstar just to chuck money at it. He's looking for the right players with the right attitude in the right positions that play the right way, that are going to enhance the squad and make it better. And undoubtedly, we will be in some kind of European competition next season. So we're going to need to spend some money to bolster that squad, because we know we haven't got the depth that we really want at this moment in time. But I think, I know there's some people getting a little bit frustrated with it and with Ange and all the rest of it. But you've got to ask yourself the question, where do you want to go? What do you want to do? How do you want it to pan out? We tried the checkbook manager without spending the money, so that's not going to work. So there's no point having a checkbook manager if you're not going to unleash the checkbook, right? So that's a bit pointless. So the only way to go is project based, is building, is developing and progressing each season. I don't want to be sitting here, lording over top four again, and all that rubbish. Top four is great for generating income and all the rest of it, but if that income is not going to be spent in the right way, then like I've said before, for me it's pointless. I want to be in the Champions League to win the Champions League, not just to be one of the other teams in it for everybody to beat. I want us to really give it a go and do something. But I think we're a long way off that. I think we're a long way off challenging for the title. I think we're a long way off challenging for a European title, unless it's something like the UEFA Cup or something along those lines, which I think is a legitimate thing that we should be going for. FA Cup, Carabao Cup, UEFA Cup, those we should be in the mix to try to win those, not just playing in those competitions. And I know it's not, you need a certain amount of luck to go your way to really make it in those competitions as well. But at some point it's got to go our way for sure. But I do feel that we are moving in the right direction. I do feel the football is more entertaining now than it's been. And I know a lot of people are saying that that's not the case, but for me, I think it is. I'm on the edge of my seat watching the game, and I think to myself, when it clicks, when they do play in the right way, like I said, the sharp, quick, one touch, fast movement, pacey and pushing it up the wings and really going for it. For me, I think that's really, really great to see. Some of the flicks and the movement and all the rest of it is impressive. You've just got to do that consistently. And you need an out-and-out goal scorer who's going to really, bang them in for you. But they're not easy to find. That's why Bayern Munich have paid 100 million for Harry Kane, because you can't just pick one of those up willy-nilly. Even though we're paying like 60 million or whatever it is for Richarlison, who, to be fair, has not done too bad considering his mentality issues and his injury issues and all the rest of it. But for him to have banged in the goals he has shows that he's got quality. But is he the quality of Harry Kane? Of course he's not, and he's a rare player to find. So, I don't know. That's why it's important that the other players are popping up with goals and putting it in. As I say, taking opportunities and really giving it a go. I just think we need to believe in that more. Let's not try to pick the perfect pass. Let's just try to pepper the goal. Let's try and force a mistake. Let's, hit it in there, make the keeper make a save. I mean, let's be honest with ourselves. Fabianski is not the best goalkeeper in the league these days, is he? So, but we barely troubled him, didn't have to pull off a save. And that says a lot. So anyway, I'm going to leave it there. I've rambled on for 20 minutes nearly. But thanks for watching. I appreciate the support as ever. Leave your comments and I'll reply where I can. And I'll see you in the next one. Thanks very much. Up the Spurs.